North Carolina, Mr. Moore, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and by the way, you're a great host having us here in Oklahoma. It's been a wonderful visit. I want to thank our witnesses as well. Unlike most central banks around the world, the Federal Reserve was intentionally designed as a decentralized system, as has been testified to previously, one that combines the national policy making with regional representatives. Congress recognized the economic conditions in New York may look different than those, for example, in my home state of North Carolina, or of course here in Oklahoma. The Federal Reserve System was designed to ensure that monetary policy and banking supervision would be informed not only by data coming out of Washington, but also experiences of businesses and consumers from around the country. That regional perspective is particularly important for states like my home state, and I would say probably in most states outside of some of the major banking or policy areas. I can tell you economic conditions facing a manufacturer in rural western North Carolina, or a small business in eastern North Carolina, or a family in Charlotte can be very different than things viewed around the country. Mr. Henning, you've spent, of course, 2 decades as president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City and participated in interest rate deliberations through multiple economic cycles. How important is the regional reserve bank structure in ensuring that monetary policy reflects conditions across the entire country rather than primarily the perspectives of Washington? Everybody sort of touched on this, but how have you seen that, and can you think of examples where that regional perspective probably helped the board take action that may have been better than if they just relied on, say, just what was coming out of Washington?
Well, I think there are many examples, but usually it's most apparent when there's a crisis. And whether it was a crisis of the agricultural crisis of the 70s and 80s, where this part of the country suffered very significantly relative to others, we at the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City and Dallas were very much aware of it and involved in it in terms of trying to find solutions. With the great financial crisis, in fact, as solutions were being pursued for liquidity for major corporations, major banks in this country, I was in those meetings in Washington, and one of the things I was able to do was point out that, I'm sorry, but the Midwest has some pretty large companies, pretty large banks. Let's make sure these policies or these programs that you're developing for liquidity purposes extend into the Midwest and into these. And had I not been at that table, I'm sure there would have been some coverage, but it would not have been anywhere near as detailed or anywhere as thorough as they were by having that input into the process. So those are just 2 examples, but you can see it in COVID. You could see it in the terrible periods of the 1980s, where the regional banks came forward and found solutions to problems that would have been much more devastating to that region had they not been done.
Well, thank you. And of course, I would submit one of the greatest strengths of the Fed is the ability to gather information from local businesses, banks, and community leaders. And Ms. George, let me ask you this. How valuable are the regional advisory councils and business contacts in forming policy decisions? And do you also have examples where the information gathered from, say, local companies differed from the traditional economic data that was suggested?
So we do take advantage of drawing resources in. So we talked about the boards of directors, but we do have roundtables and advisory councils that allow us to really drill down to more specific sectors of that economy and understand it. And when you do that, you begin to appreciate that there can be things at the macro level you might miss, but you will understand, and when you go to the Federal Open Market Committee meetings, be able to articulate, for example, in my region, whether it was energy or agriculture, the way the transmission of monetary policy works can feel different if you're a farmer with an operating loan, if you are making capital decisions around drilling for energy. And so the expression of those at that table allow you to calibrate how is that policy working across the country.
And just as a follow-up to that, Ms. George, what benefits would you say that sector-specific expertise brings to monetary policy decisions?
Well, I think, again, it begins to fill out for this committee what is a very large and diverse economy in this country. And even as we see various industries grow, there are still thousands of communities in this country where those effects can hit harder. And again, I reflect on ag and energy transportation. Transportation is often one of the early warning signs we hear as the economy is turning. And when you're able to pick up anecdotes that say we see a shift in this industry, it matters to the discussion that we have at the FOMC.
Thank you. My time's expired. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman's time
Thank
has
you.
expired.